Hey guys, welcome to today's episode where we'll be diving into the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. In this episode, we're exploring the growing risk of AI-driven breaches, focusing on deepfake attacks. Joining us is Jason from Breacher AI, a leading expert in this field. Jason will be sharing insights on how hackers are using AI to bypass defenses, what businesses can do to protect themselves, and the future of AI and cybersecurity. Stay tuned for an eye-opening conversation about the next frontier in cyber threats.
Hi everyone, welcome to a really interesting podcast this week. This is the first time we are really getting into the security, like in the AI side, right? We have done other side of AI, but this is the first time we are doing a AI focused security podcast. So today we are joined by Jason from Breacher AI. Hi Jason, thank you so much for accepting our invite. And can you please tell us a little bit about who you are and mainly just the journey as well for Breacher AI so far?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you all having me on the show. Super excited to do this. A little bit about Breacher AI, what we do, and how we got here. Basically, if y'all are familiar with MGM, right? It was a casino in Vegas, and they got hacked, so it cost them $100 million. And I did a bunch of research. It was an AI attack. If you actually peel it a little bit, the hackers use AI to change your voice and to get access into MGM. So I kind of looked around, so there's no tools to fix this, and we jumped into action. We created Breacher AI. So that's how we got here, and a little bit about what we do is we basically do words training and attack simulation using Deepfake.
Nice. So your background, have you already been in security before that, or how did that journey started for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm a lifer, unfortunately. I've been doing this my whole career, and it's amazing. Like cybersecurity, you have a good portion of burnout. People burn out because it's very stressful. And I've been doing this for way too long.
Cool. Jason, like at the moment, right, with the AI has infiltrated, is it infiltrated or has been adopted? Shall I call it adopted? Yeah. By a lot of people in so many areas, like, there are, we are like always look at like the glass is half full type scenarios, but then always there is always is the other side, right? There's always, like this, the coin, there's a good side and the bad side. So when it comes to AI, it's just go hand in hand. So with the Breacher AI, I mean, like one of the things that you guys are really specialized in is like when they come to the Deepfake. So can you please explain what is Deepfake, how did it come about, and a little bit of a brief history of what that is, please?
Yeah, sure. So Deepfake, there's a lot of confusion around what Deepfake actually is. So basically, Deepfake is a subset of artificial intelligence. It's generated using generative AI. And basically, all it's doing is this pattern recognition and analysis, right? You're producing a predicted result based on the data that's trained on. Where Deepfake is a problem is that it's being abused by people to manipulate images or video or audio using basically like Deepfake to information or for malicious purposes, right? So there's this security. Deepfake is this horrible thing that's not, right? Deepfake by itself is not a bad thing, but people are using it to basically commit fraud, scams, blackmail, extortion, and phishing, social engineering. So a little background, like the biggest problem with Deepfake, what a lot of people don't realize is that cybersecurity, we're very geared towards a desktop sort of defense, right? Deepfake is audio, it's phone calls, it's SMS, it's social media, it's all across the board, and that's the biggest problem, right? It's so diverse that we're faced with an adversary that's much larger. So that's kind of my take on Deepfake. It's not a bad thing, but it's being used for bad purposes.
Yeah, and that's like, I don't know if you read this one, Jason, but maybe 6 months ago, there was actually, I believe it's a big finance company in Singapore, and I believe, and then what happened is they jumped on a Zoom call with who they thought their CFO was, and transferred about $20 million. And that's within the Zoom call. And they've obviously used AI voice masking, AI face masking. And these guys thought they were talking to their CFO, but they had actually used AI to artificially engineer what people thought they were doing.
Wow. That's just unreal, right? I mean, like, in some transactional methods, right? They say like, okay, we just, don't, if you see emails, please disregard the emails because I would never ask you to do something through email. I will use like Zoom, or I'll call you just to make sure that it's me, right?
Yeah.
And now, like we know that we can call someone's number, right? We had the security thing, like, so someone can call using my number as me, or you can send text messages as me, and all they need is my voice cloned. And after that, you just don't know who you're talking to. You think like, oh, it could be, Charlie, of course, you know what I mean? And it's when you think about it, it's like really scary. I mean, like, there's another story about like these guys trying to extort money off a parent, like they kidnapped the child, and the child was, isn't it right? What is that story? Yes.
Yeah. So it's called virtual kidnapping, right? So basically, what a hacker or fraudster, it's not actually a hacker, right? It's basically a group of organized fraudsters, and they'll look at Facebook and they'll say, hey, someone's on vacation, right? We're traveling. They'll go find the video of them like talking. They will basically clip the audio, download it. They'll put it in voice cloning software, and they call up parents and say, hey, I'm Joe, I'm on vacation in Mexico. I've been kidnapped. Send me $5,000 or something bad will happen, right? And we're freaking out, and they're falling to this scam. So it's interesting, like as advanced as like deepfake has gotten in AI, some of the basics are actually the best defense against this, right? So something that can be applied in both the workplace and at home is just having a protected safe word, right? So if you're ever in that situation and someone says, hey, I've kidnapped your daughter, you can say, hey, okay, what's the safe word? Tell me. And if they can't give it to you, it's a scam. We're in the same principal place in the workplace too. It's taking an extra step to basically verify and then have that protected passwords as well. So it's a major problem, major problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, now you have to remember your seed phrase and your safe word and passwords. It's crazy, like how it's come about, like how this new technology that we had to find, and we had to rely on a super offline method to verify. That is you. Is there I guess this is where you guys come in, right? With breach AI. Can you tell us a little bit about what does how does breach AI help, and where does it fit in a business or individuals, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll go back to the example that you gave, right, where the CFO was on a video call and they were trades for 25 million. We are able to replicate those sorts of attacks exactly, right? We can go on a video, like on this call, I can change my face to whoever I want, right?
Yep.
Or we can do an audio phishing attack like MGM, right? So we do these sorts of simulations, and we test companies to see if their defenses are actually effective at stopping it. And in the process, we see if users are vulnerable, right? If they fall victim to it, they fall for the scam, they do the wire transfer, and then we educate them on the spot, right? We're the only company that combines that extra layer of user awareness in addition to simulation, right? Nobody else is doing that today. And it's been very effective. We've actually breached numerous organizations. We've been able to penetrate, trick users into basically giving us wire transfers and stop it and say, hey, this is a deep fake. This is what you need to do in the future. And this is the technology. This is how advanced it's gotten, right? Be aware. And it really helps protect businesses so they don't fall victim to those sorts of scams. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Yep.
And even with that, there's probably a lot more software out there, and it can be used for good. It can be used to test internally. But I would say a lot more is there will be 13-year-old kids around the world on the internet jumping on something, limited knowledge, but they jump on something like Hack GPT, for instance, and they go run that, which, it'd take a bit of knowledge. There's a lot of smart kids out there, but it's just made it so much easier with this technology to find those flaws and then infiltrate different businesses. How have you seen that change? Is it still early, Jason, or is that becoming a wider, bigger issue with the AI tools out there that are able to hack businesses and people?
It's become a wider issue, right? And just like you mentioned, is that the barrier for creating deepfakes has gotten exponentially lower, right? So, like you said, there's this notion that like it's hackers or like big kind of technology like threat actors doing this. It's not, right? It could be your neighbor next door. It could be a 15-year-old kid. They had the access to these tools to make deepfake now, and that's part of the danger, right? Like deepfake's been around since 2017. In the past, though, you had to have skill, you had to have a high GPU in order to do it. But now you can do it like that in a couple seconds in the cloud, and then boom, you're done. You need 3 seconds of audio. That's it to create it.
Wow.
Deepfake audio. Yep. It's the same.
That's just crazy. So with Breacher AI, do you guys, what is your sweet spot? Is it like a small to medium to large organizations, or do you guys focus on where the threats are like quite high? Where does that falls in that categories of businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. It falls a little across the board. I'd say our sweet spot is actually kind of a multinational company, right? So if you're a really small company and you have that direct line to your CEO, and you know him like very well, it's easier to verify a transaction, right? So I'd say like a mid and above is actually the biggest target, right? That's kind of our sweet spot. But interestingly, we've seen scammers go after really small companies, like really tiny, like 5-6 person companies.
Wow.
Just to get like a grand, like it's like a very small scam, but it's still happening. So I'd say that anyone can potentially fall victim for a deepfake, but naturally, any company that's doing financial transactions or the finance sector are going to be higher the radar, and in crypto as well. So basically, if you're a crypto trader, you're going to be more in the B2C, right? So those sorts of frauds and scams are basically targeting the public, but the other types of frauds are targeting like businesses, right? So it's all across the board, and that's a problem. It's like it's everywhere. So it's a major problem.
I mean, with the crypto custodial services, they what they had done is pretty much they had the video as a way of verification, but now they had to rethink all those security steps. Like, what should it be instead of that? I don't know whether they call back a different number, but what if the SIM has been swapped, right? Are you calling the right person? So I think these challenges are getting better and better and like really advanced. And I think the fighting, because I think, look, I would say there are more scammers than there are good people who want to do it, do the research, because people don't somehow for humans, I would say people always value convenience over security and privacy. And, I think one of the things is that we are saving our passwords in our browser, and easy, you only need one wrong link to be clicked. And before you know it, pretty much your entire network is just wiped out.
Yeah, therefore saving your bank card details and browser too. But I always ignore that one. I save in this, which my bank has actually got a cool little feature in them here in Australia. is when I go to my online banking, I actually have dynamic CSV numbers.
Yeah. I'll see CVC number, yeah.
So they recycle it all the time. So I don't actually have to use my actual card on websites that I don't want to. But even with that, in the crypto space, a lot of it comes into, because of the nature of cryptocurrency and the ownership and being able to transfer that out, is, I would say, a big one, which we're not hearing a lot of at the moment, but is fake KYC credentials. Like, I believe it'd be pretty easy to create a fake passport with AI these days, and then also have that face mapping if the KYC does have the face mapping technology integrated.
Yeah, that's a major challenge, right? So me personally, I would never get into the KYC states for that very reason, right? It's going to be astronomically hard for those companies to continuously innovate to protect against it, right? So I think that's a major challenge with KYC. We've heard reports of basically malware. This is in Southeast Asia. That's actually stealing your face from your phone and then basically using that to get into your bank account. People are having their bank accounts drained by doing this. So like some banks actually use your face as a biometric to get into your account. We've seen evidence that hackers have basically been able to use Deepfake to bypass that and then basically drain like accounts, and it's major. The other thing that's really big and prevalent is crypto scams. So I'm sure y'all have seen like the Elon Musk videos. Have you guys actually watched one of those?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
How it is like getting better and better.
Are you looking to integrate your business systems with cutting-edge AI technology? Our expert team is here to help you use the power of AI to innovate, streamline, and enhance your current business operations. Contact us today at 1-800-870-200 or visit blockstars.com.au.
Just crazy.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, you could say, "Hey, it's a deepfake," no wash his ass. Like, but now, like, I watched him, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's Elon Musk for real!" Like, I want to scan my crypto wallet. It is that good, and that's a problem, right? Is it like as it's gotten more accessible, it's gotten really good at the same time where it's believable. So, and that's one of my pet peeves is I see so many companies coming out of the woodwork, so they're starting to jump into the space, and they're saying, deepfake's not a problem. You can look at it and you can tell it's a deepfake video. That's flat wrong, right? You cannot look at some of these and say it's a deepfake. You can't tell the difference. So one of my biggest things, like a pet peeves at Breacher, is that we teach and educate people to be aware of the situation versus the visual clues, right? Because if you look for irregularities like hands and stuff like that, or shades, it may work today, but in a month or two, you're going to be screwed, right? You're not going to be able to tell, and you're going to say, "Oh, that's real," and then boom, you get defrauded. You lose all of your money. I think it's 24 million or 25 million, which could be, I'm sorry, 25 billion is projected to be lost over the next year, just in deepfake scams for crypto, which is insane. That's insane. That's not a problem that we had like 2 or 3 years ago. So here we are.
I know, right?
And when you think about it, like, we're aware of it. We work in technology day in, day out.
And the forensics.
But imagine people that aren't in technology and, they might know of ChatGPT and tried it once or twice. Yeah. And then now they're seeing these ads like...
Oh, there is one person I met about 2 months ago when I went to an event, and he said like, "Oh, I put some money in this crypto because Elon Musk was talking about it on stage." And I'm like, "Oh, can you show me the video?" And he's been sharing with his friends on WhatsApp, right? And I'm like, "Dude, let me show you the original interview of that." Right? And he's like, "What do you mean original interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fake." And he could not fathom how it and he was like, he felt, and I could feel he had his heart just dropped. And I'm like, "How much money did you put in there? Did you put all your money?" And he said, "No, I put like a decent chunk, because if I lose that money, it will hurt me. he said the biggest thing is like, it's my money, it's my mistake, but I told people, my friends, my family, to invest money because of this. So I'm like, man, you had to get that money out. Like, I don't know, I trust these guys. And I'm like, no, you had to ask them to give you back, like, I don't know, 10% of your, just do a withdrawal and see whether what happens, right? And you can just see the penny dropped, and now he's trying to prove that he is right. He made, because I think he got like a decent chunk to lose, and he doesn't want to feel like, oh, he messed up. And I'm like, man, you should take that money out.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, you got to cut your losses. Like, don't go back on it and try to recoup. Right? That's, oh gosh, I feel bad, but you're right. And the problem is, and you nailed it, is that people have different levels of awareness about this technology. Like, there's people that are very up to speed on it, but a lot of people are not. And it's amazing. I work in cybersecurity, right? And we should be at the very top of like all these threats, and we should know about it. And I talk to people and I say, hey, are you aware that deepfake, you can do this, this, and this? You can clone an audio in 3 seconds. And they said, no freaking clue, right? And that's what terrifies me, is that if we're not aware, your average user right on the internet, they're not going to be aware of it at all. They're going to fall for these scams continuously. That's what we're seeing with this problem. So I think in my mind, like, this awareness, being educated about this technology, is the best thing that you can do, because it works both in your office and it works at the home front too. So you can protect your family, yourself, and your business or your coworkers for deepfake if you're just situationally aware. And that's what we do, is we educate people so that they're aware. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason, how has we've spoken about how AI is being used in nefarious ways, but how are you guys using AI to help fight against the hackers
and the bad people?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the answer is this, right? So for deepfake, you won't be able to tell what's real or fake by just looking at it. So we have to use artificial intelligence to actually listen and then basically digest and say, okay, this is actually deepfake. So we're using AI against AI. As weird as that may sound, right? So it's an oxymoron. We're using AI to fight AI. But you have to, right? Because some of these videos and audios, you can't tell. So what we do is we do forensics. So we take basically an audio file or video, and we run through the API, and the API is able to basically tell if it's deepfake or not. And we take that as evidence. We give it back, and then people can take action against it. So for example, like if you're an actor or an actress and your likeness has been cloned, right? We will take that deepfake. We will say, okay, we are 100% confident this is deepfake, and then they'll take it, and then they'll take action against it. Say, hey, remove my video from YouTube, or pay me like royalties so I can get compensated for my likeness. That's just one example. Like where a CEO gets deepfaked, we can basically find the video, we can run analytics on it, and then debunk it very quickly. So that's one of our services that we do. The next thing, and this is confidential, but I'll put it on this podcast, is we're actually working with our partner company, where we can detect live deepfake video conference calls. So, for example, someone joined this call, and they were deepfake. Basically, a bot would listen in and say, "Okay, we detected deepfake," and then kick that user out of the call and say that person's fraud. So we're piloting that. That's in beta, and that's going to be a big piece of technology that we're going to use in our fight against deepfake. So we're slaying it from every angle that we can, and just trying to address it. The only space that we won't get into is know your customer. That's just not an area that we want to dabble in at all.
Yeah.
So, Jason, I read one of the articles on Breach AI that you guys partnered with Hook. Guys, and can you talk about a little bit about that? What does that partnership brings to each company, or what that makes you guys what is your superpower that makes you guys elevate to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a partnership that we're really excited about. They have a great product. So they do security awareness training, right? So every organization should be doing awareness training. And what we do is we add basically the simulation and the testing on top of that awareness. So there's no other companies that are doing basically that testing, right? You can take as many quizzes as you want and you'd be educated, right? But you don't know if people have retained that information or if they're actually vulnerable without doing that testing component. So combined, it's a whole package for user awareness training and education. We're really excited about it. There's been a lot of interest, and we're getting really busy doing it. So it's good things to come, and it's a very critical key component in the fight against deepfake. Is step number one.
That's cool. I just want to go back to about the KYC, like the digital ID part. Say for example, now there are quite a few software out there who does KYC, and you get your phone, you open your mouth, you do a full workout. It's like a full warm up for the upper body warm up, just to capture every angle, right? Now, someone could do a similar thing using deepfake. Now, I don't know how good that is. Never tried that. So could breach AI? Could these KYC providers use breach AI as a add-on or security layer to inject something or to work out whether it's true or not?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we do. So it's basically it's similar to pen testing. It's attack simulating. We would basically test an organization that's deployed KYC, and we would try to bypass detection to see if that actually works, right? And we're not out to make anyone look bad or gotcha. It's basically it's us trying to help those companies understand if they're vulnerable and if there are gaps. So that's exactly where we come in. Is we want to help. It's better for us to do it than a bad person to actually do it, right? So it's better for us to do it first. And in test you show if you're vulnerable, or it's going to be a bad person that does it, right? And then that's going to cost you a lot of money. We cost a lot less.
That's it, right? I mean, it definitely must help them with when they come to the insurance premiums, because they are not that cheap, and the risk index that could just bring up, quite down, because I think we come to the insurance side of things nowadays. Those companies had to think of like all sort of stuff, right? We had like when the whole 9/11 happened, they brought in a whole set of new insurance things like, before it was only, I think when you get your travel insurance, I think they had like, if you got sick or kidnapped, right? And then it's a whole thing came up after that. It's like after the 9/11. So now with the AI in place for businesses, with insurance, I think they're going to introduce these next new levels, right? I don't know, how do you call it even, AI based losses or.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's basically cyber insurance carrier requirements, right? So one of them, and this is where we come in too. So you have to do a couple of things. One is user awareness training, which we do, and then vulnerability assessments, which we do, and then penetration assessments as well. Usually not across the board all the time, but most of the time that's required. So we do all three of those in one, which makes it easier. But the problem is we're seeing many more breaches and ransomware attacks, and the more that those happen, these cyber insurance carriers are going to incur more losses. It's driving all the prices of these cyber insurance policies up, right? So there's some predictions that in 2 or 3 years that it may get unaffordable for a lot of these companies, and they're going to result to let it happen, right? So it's basically people are, instead of doing a risk assessment or putting in the protective measures, they're just saying, meh, we'll get breached and cyber insurance will pick up the bill and then we're fine. That approach is dead wrong. That leads to increased costs,
brand
policies, brand, lawsuits, you name it, right? There's just so much more risk after you get breached versus not. So I think it's a big mistake, but I think what's going to happen is these cyber insurance carriers are going to basically have a rider in their policy that says it's a different premium, or we will exclude artificial intelligence attacks, right? That's my hunch, is it'll be a specific exclusion or a rider in the policies. So we'll see where that nets. But that's my prediction. So we're basically trying to be ahead of it to help businesses understand if they're vulnerable, to help with that cyber insurance carrier policy as well.
I think the AGI would be the crazy one that's going to just send all, I think not just security, I think everything, like, it's going to lift everything up. Just this is what ChatGPT does. I don't know what age, I can't even comprehend what that really means. I guess until we see it, because the emotions and a lot of those things, the AGI is just like at human level, right? And one thing I read was that there are a few software providers and hardware providers coming together, like Apple and Meta and few of those type of companies coming together, and they are linking up exactly from the time that they take a picture. They're going to put like a DSD, like what you call a digital a ledger, and they're going to put integrated digital, not a blockchain per se, but it's a digital ledger, and they're going to track all the changes all the way from the hardware itself, from the phone camera itself, all the way to the software like Adobe and social media and all the editing software, and then you would not be able to remove the metadata, so that you can always see exactly where did this originated from, and whether it's a true picture or a deep faked one. And I think still that means we had to rely on like the major players. Nothing to say that one of them might do the wrong thing by humans, right? So how can, I don't know whether you know the answer to this one, but I think probably that's something that we should like thrive to, is like more like, can we get a system that we don't have to rely on another company per se, but it's available to everyone in a decentralized manner, because then there's trust without having to trust a particular company. I don't know, but
I love that approach, and I think it will help, right? I think we'll see a lot of these sorts of technologies, right? And it's a great step for solving misinformation, right, and authenticity, especially on social media, right? They're taking steps to do watermarking and says like, hey, this is a deepfake. And that's great. That's a great step to help, but I don't think it will solve the problem. The reason being is that a lot of these deepfake tools are open source. I can go to GitHub, download a repo, set it, let it run, right? And then you're not going to be able to trace back that origin to that open source tool, right? So, for example, like one of the tools that we use is called the root, and I can't even apply a watermark to it if I want to, right? So I can use that and use an attack, and then people wouldn't see that watermark, and they say, okay, that's real, and then it's more dangerous, right? So potentially, some of these countermeasures will actually backfire and make some more lethal. And that's my biggest concern, right? Is like, we're so behind the ball at this point, we're playing catch up. I think we'll see a lot of those sorts of solutions, and they will partially solve it. But I don't think there's one solution out there that will ever solve this problem entirely. It's just like phishing emails, right?
Yeah.
This 2024 phishing has been around since the email agenda. Yeah. And we haven't solved it, right? And in deepfake, it's the exact same thing. There's no, unfortunately, there's no one good answer to solve it. So it's basically educate yourself, put in defenses, and just be more cautious, right? So just be a little bit less trusting. That's a problem. Is like, you go on the internet, you trust people, but nowadays you have to be a little bit less trusting when you're being told and what you see.
Yeah,
and that's the dilemma for deepfake.
Oh, by the way, Charlie, I sent you that 10 Bitcoins that you asked yesterday.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. But yeah, just send them again.
Okay.
I'll send press. But with that, it's like what we've seen. It's been around for years. people are still falling for like Nigerian princesses or princes, like mostly older generation, I would say, which you think like in this day and age people wouldn't be falling for. But most of the time is like, you see a lot of them, they might meet a girl or a guy on a Facebook group, whatever they're into. Yeah, and then they direct them into a WhatsApp, and then these people keep the conversation going. Like, obviously, a lot of it's manual. Well, previously, a lot of it's manual, and they're building that relationship and getting money out. Now you've got another level on top of that. That's already happening, and people are falling for it. Now there's another level where there's going to be video call conversations and backgrounds.
It's just like
deepfake engineered.
Yes.
And these, you're going to feel like no, I'm not being tricked, like, to family members. No, it's not a scam. Like, look here, I'll call him or her, and then they're on the phone with their family, and then the family's like, oh, well, maybe it is true. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, pig butchery is like, it's a big thing. People being lured to romance scams. And then the biggest concern that I have, we haven't seen too many of these yet, thankfully, but a matter of time is it's sextortion, right? So for that, basically someone will make a deepfake porn video or image and go to the spouse of someone and say, hey, this is an image of you having an affair. And if you got pay me $10,000, $15,000, I'm going to give it to your significant other and blackmail them, right? And I'm sure that's happened. I don't think people are going to come forward and say, hey, have them. But it's another angle of it as well. But what's really frustrating in my mind is that at least over here in the U.S. is our legislation is so far behind the ball on all this stuff, right? So our individual states are putting forward laws against this stuff, but they're just doing that now. Like some states already have, but other ones haven't. And with kids, it's really dangerous. So
to get
a little dark, right? There's actually been, people tragically like taking their lives over these sorts of things, right? And the laws they have not been passed to protect the youth of it. So it's frustrating that we're so far behind on this.
Because I read it. Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, and on that one, I'm wondering how it's going to play out. I know the laws and legislations have to change for this, but I know in America, for instance, probably Australia too, is if you design something with AI, like if I create a piece of art with AI, I can't, by law, that can't be copyrighted
because they used
because it was AI that created it. Now there was another one at MIT. I was talking to someone, and these guys tried to paint it some technology, and when they put it on in the painting form, it's like he or she created it, and they're like, well, he or she didn't. We created it with AI and as a group, and they weren't able to paint it in that technology because it was created by AI. Now, okay, that doesn't really make sense to me because the people behind it prompted it, trained it, got it to do whatever. But then you look at the villainous side of this, of like, hey, this person hacked this and done this ransomware and got 20,000, and say they catch them. Oh no, that wasn't me. That was the AI that had done that. So there really needs to be that legislation and rule changing on both sides of copyright, patents, whatever else, as well as the side of having those people that are responsible for using this technology in the wrong way and scamming people or taking advantage of them.
Yeah. I think so. There's one law over here in the U.S. That's very applicable in my mind. That's DMCA, right? The Digital Copyright Act. And I think, in my mind, like deepfake should fall under that same umbrella, but so far I don't think it has yet. There was basically a case, Scarlett Johansson versus OpenAI, where they used her voice, and she basically went after them in court and said, you stole my voice, my likeness, right? And I think that is what we'll see, is that people's likenesses and images and IP will be protected under that same umbrella, so that if somebody does deepfake you, you can take action against them using like a DMCA claim, but so far it's been a little bit different. So that's where I think it will eventually go. I think it's going in that direction. And that's what I hope to see, is that people can take that action against content that's basically scaling them. YouTube, like, recently put in a measure, if you've been deepfaked, you can go to YouTube, submit your list, and then have your content removed. And that's amazing. That's what we need to see more.
Yeah. So, with because obviously you guys work with quite a few different companies, people, and in from the time that you guys start working on Breacher AI, what other, can you, just like something that you thought like, oh, you know what, oh, that was cool, what you guys did, without, you can leave all the company names all aside, can you tell us one of those examples or one of those situations that you guys like, wow, we helped probably to save, maybe, a few $1 million, from people getting scammed, or we helped a company from getting sued, or is this something that you can talk to us here? Because I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people like, oh my God, you know what? That is my company. You know what I mean? I mean, like, we should get that together,
I can't give specific names. I can tell you that we have one very large tech company that we were able to basically penetrate using a deepfake of their CEO. So their CEO, we basically took his image, likeness, and we targeted their finance department, right? So people that were doing like wire transfers.
Yeah.
And we got one person to actually do a wire transfer, and that saved them, like, literally, that was probably $1 million save. If they would have done that, and it would have been a bad guy, that would have ruined their whole reputation, right? And that particular company manages, I think they have like 200 or 300 different customers, right? And if that word would have gotten out that they got breached using deepfake, they would have lost numerous customers. So that saves them definitely probably a couple million. And they said, "Oh my God, we have this gap," and then they fixed it. And then so that's one example of where we've come in to kind of save the day. But I will tell you that we only hear about a couple of these deepfake attacks in the news, right? Like, they're not every day that we hear about in the news. So they're actually happening a lot more than we think. These companies are not coming forward to disclose them, right? Because it's not a declared security incident they have to disclose. So they're keeping it confidential, and they're reaching out for help. Companies like us, and then we're helping and jumping on. But it's happening a lot more than you think. I think about 35% of businesses in the U.S. have been targeted by a deepfake attack so far. So that's
that's big numbers.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse, unfortunately, right? We're just seeing the beginning. The thing to worry about today, it's not actually video, right? So if it's out in the public and it's a crypto scam, absolutely, it's video, right? But if you're a business, it's actually audio that you need to worry about. And the analogy that I give is this, is that people do not fall victim to silent videos, right? If it's a quiet video, people are going to fall for scams. It's always the audio, which is really kind of tricking the people to do that action. So the vector that you want to pay attention to today, at least, is actually audio, right? Because you can do a phone call using deepfake. You can do a video conference call if you're off camera, right? It's going to be that audio that's tricking someone into doing an action versus the video. So the video, to me, is like a layer on top to add that sense of realism or authenticity, right? But it's actually always the audio that's tricking people into doing the action. That's what we focus on. That's one critical key difference that we take versus a lot of other companies, right? They're all focused on video. It's not wrong, but you still have that gap, right? Audio is your number one factor that you should be focused on. I felt very strongly about that.
I mean, like, that makes sense, right? Because I think the audio is what, transfer the emotions.
Yeah.
Right? Not the video. I mean, video is like a layer on top just to add like the, after effects, you know what I mean? But the audio is the one that the main driver, the call to actions all come from the audio, press this button, do this and do that. And so what is it? I mean, like you guys have something that you guys have built so that, you can inject into get into calls and things like that, and it identifies, oh, this is a deep fake, and this is not a deep fake. And what is the sort of, I don't know whether you can talk about this one, like, what is the success rate at the moment? I mean, it has to be, it has to be more than, it definitely going to add another layer, right? But it's not going to, I doubt it's not going to be 100% at this stage, because it's so many variables that goes into it. And what is that looks like from Breacher AI?
We're still in testing at the moment, so we're fine tuning. I wouldn't be in a good position, so it's not. We're still in that process of tuning it, but it's pretty damn good, right? And it's two factors, right? So we're not just listening to the audio, we're looking at the text. So our AI bot is actually doing basically a transcript, and it's looking for keywords. So for example, you see the word bait transfer, or need you to contact me or wire funds, it'll set alert too. So we're tackling it both from listening to the audio to see if it's deepfake, and then we're doing a text to pattern recognition as well, and add a layer. So it's a double approach. Yeah. I think with those two combined, right, and then we're looking at near 100% success rate at basically stopping fraud or pinpointing fraud. Yeah. I don't want to jinx myself, so.
Oh, no. Look, I think that when it comes to security, there's, we think, you know what, we are covered 100%. But then someone comes in and then say like, oh, but this part is open. There's never 100% in security, right? There's constantly, it's like what you're doing is you're always striving to be up there, but there's always something, because the other side is not giving up. If you try something else, they go something else. I think security has to be a journey. It has to be reviewed constantly. It has to be in front of mind for a lot of people. And when they come new technology, and they're okay, look, let's have a discussion. Okay, what could this benefit? This new technology have impact on our security processes, our systems, and our communications. For example, the comms are the ones that like you guys picked up, fantastic avenue, the comms side of things, because now a lot of things get done on the comms, not like before, or not on face-to-face anymore, because now the technology is like widespread, it's global, people want to do things faster. I think crypto doesn't help when it comes to that as well, because crypto now you can, transfer like in few seconds, and you can't claw back,
Yep. That's the problem, is like we're becoming so fast paced in what we do that one of the keys to deepfake is you actually have to slow down, right? It is taking a step back and then and think, is this like actually legit or not? So it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we're so fast paced, and that's one of the trigger factors. But you're spot on, right? No matter what we do, we will never be 100% secure, right? There will always be something that we overlook, and it is a journey, right? It's always a journey to improve and then reduce risk. So, in my approach, cybersecurity is just, it's risk. It's all risk-based. It's understanding what risks you accept and what risks you can't and you have to address. Where we come in is that we actually tell you what risks you have. Whether you accept or not, that's up to you. Yeah. But step one is always understanding if you are a risk to this, right? And that's what we do to a T, is we give you an assessment report and say, you're high risk, you're low risk, you have no risk, right? And that's step number one. So that's exactly where we can know what we do.
With Breacher AI, you guys are doing some amazing work out there. What is your suite of products for businesses? If a business comes to you and says, hey, we want you guys to carry out a security assessment, right? So I guess given your situation, any company that deals in high money transactions or has trade secrets, for example, because you just don't know, right? Trade secrets are same as, or more valuable than money itself. So what would they come to you, and would they have to come to you and say like, oh, we want this service, or how would what is the best way to approach you guys, and how can they, get you guys to work on that security assessment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So overwhelmingly, we get asked the same thing, and it's basically a company doesn't know if they're vulnerable, right? And they're like, we need help. We don't have an answer for deepfake. We want to know if we're sure or not. So our first thing that we would do is we do the assessment. We do the attack simulation with the awareness training, and then my number one recommendation always is to use awareness training, right? So that'd be number 2, and then number 3 would be the layer defense and having those additional tools like the voice conference detection bot is the last line of defense. So it's basically do an assessment, right? That's number 1, educate your users. Number 2, and number 3, put in preventative controls to stop it as well. So if you follow those steps, you should be fine for the most part, right? It's basically your only gap that you have to worry about is your employees, and as long as they're educated, you should be fine. That's the biggest problem. So for cybersecurity, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that your employees are actually the most vulnerable to this. So we have tons of tools to help protect them. They all work great on desktop, but the gap that people are starting to exploit is your phone, right? It's like there's not much we can do. If someone calls you, there's no defenses to say, hey, on your phone, there's nothing you can do. So deepfake audio on phones and social media and like all that's your biggest gap from protecting employees. For crypto scams, like online, again, the best thing you can do is just educate people and say, hey, like Elon Musk does not invest in Bitcoin. He only does Dogecoin, right? And he is 100% not going to give you like 40x return on your investment. They don't do it. And they'll double down. So yeah, telling people and getting them educated and aware, I think is your best step for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned education, Jason. Do you guys provide any of those like education on your platform?
Yeah. So what we do is we have a full like awareness training. So if a business wants to educate all of their employees, we have a full module that they can do it with. And that's good for the most part. But we also do a micro curriculum, which is basically just a quick 2-minute kind of web page where you can understand about deepfake, watch a quick video if you want, and just learn about it. So we do both. We have like the long curriculum, which is great for the general public or the general kind of like users. But the users that do the most sensitive stuff, like the ones that protect your data, the ones in HR as well, and finance, they need extra awareness and testing because they're behind those controls, right? Which basically people using deepfake are going to go after. So, for example, like your finance department, right? Those people need a little bit kind of extra awareness and testing to make sure that they're not doing a wire transfer to a deepfake person. That's what we test. And the advantage to our approach is that we actually do the simulation first, so we know exactly who needs to be educated. So instead of educating every single user, right, we are only educating people that actually need it. So it's a very different approach. It's basically taking the whole model, flipping it upside down and backwards, but it's been very effective so far.
Nice. That's good. So Jason, you guys cater not only for businesses based in the US, you do cater for other countries as well.
So right now we're doing North America. We're about to expand out to Europe, and then after that we're going to go further east and do Asia, and then we'll come down to you guys eventually. We'll make it down there too. It's very interesting. So our tech stack, our technology, we use actual phone numbers too in our simulations, right? Nobody does this. So we're using virtual phone numbers as a relay as part of our simulation. So one of the challenges is basically getting our network and our infrastructure built out with the telcos in different countries. We had it locked down in the US, but getting in different countries as well is their next challenge. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah. Nice. So Jason, we are coming to the end of the pod now. I would love to see myself in in the American accent, if you can, please.
I don't know if I can do the American accent. I'll try. Let me
Yeah, Cozzy, and see how real good it is.
That'll be crazy. Oh my God.
Let's see if I can pull it off.
Might I might be able to get my 10 Bitcoin back. Are you planning to launch a blockchain project? At Blockstars, we specialize in developing blockchain projects from your initial idea to the final product. To launch your successful blockchain project, drop us an email to hello@blockstars.com.au. All right. My God. Like, now we've seen what the technology, the AI, right? What it does. I mean, this is amazing. This is like Charlie 2. It captured like,
It's my twin.
is it twin, right? The long lost twin.
I get when I get off here, I'm talking to my mum.
Yes.
And then I send her this video without telling her the background.
Yeah. I mean, this is what it comes to, isn't it? So Jason, can you please explain a little bit about what this deepfake, how the process works and what it took you to do this?
Oh yeah, so this is a new deepfake live. It's on GitHub, and it went viral. So tons of people have downloaded it, which means it's in wide distribution. But what I'm doing is I'm actually streaming from my camera, and it's going into the model and streaming to a virtual camera, and then replacing the injection back into the video feed. So it's a little bit of a lag, but it's not too bad. It's pretty close in real time. But there's one trick that I can show y'all, which is really cool. So if you're ever in the situation, right, where you think it may be a live deepfake, just take your finger, point it directly in front of your nose, place it on your nose, and you can see your finger disappears into the mask. It's kind of cool. It's not really visible if you do it from the side. Like,
no, it doesn't.
Really
Yes,
but right in front, the mask is actually covering your fingers. So it's one kind of cool trick that you can do.
She got it. All right. So Charlie, next time we're on a call, if I say, Charlie, can you put your, I think you got something on your nose. And then, no, it's just right in the middle. Just in the middle there.
So it's cool, but all kidding aside, I'm going to need the crypto to my Bit wallet right after this.
Of course, I'll transfer all your, own actually. Oh my God. I mean, this is what it is, right? I mean, if someone really wants to go that, when there are like millions on the line, you would really make sure that everything looks good, isn't it? Yeah. You would just, you will spend that model is like sort of the open source model. So if you got a little bit of technical knowledge, you could really adjust it and look for someone like even the face structure that is very close to Charlie, your face, right? And the accent, someone from Papua.
I've seen one. There is a voice cloning one that they're plugging on top of
this one already, right?
And we're only like maybe a few weeks, a month in on this this new technology, never alone the older technology as well. And there's going to be a new open source model that'll have the voice. Jason, I believe off this one, did you just use one photo image to get where we are today?
Wow.
One photo. So, and that's a great point, right? So there's a lot of guidance that says be worried about what you put on social media, right? Like where stuff that you upload. A lot of that is becoming, I don't want to say irrelevant because it's still important, but it's impossible to protect any erasing your entire likeness from there. That's impossible, right? Like I have photos up on my LinkedIn profile. That's all I need now to do this. It's just one photo. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, when Jason smiles, it's very close to you as well.
It must have been a smiling photo.
Yeah, look at that. I'll be like, seriously. Dude, it's just like unreal.
And soon there'll be one, you could do it now, the technical knowledge where you're just multiple photos, multiple different angles. You would get this working a lot better.
Isn't it?
And then plug this in, build an API into 11 Labs and start training some voices or other open source voicing.
before you know it, I don't know. I think I'll be.
And then you won't know if that person's working remote or
someone else.
AI itself.
Jason, thank you so much for the demo. Now I'm a lot more smarter because of this. Next time, first thing is like, okay, can you please itch your nose?
You've got something on your nose.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
I'll get one day.
Yes,
Jason.
Hi.
See you, buddy. You're looking great, by the way.
Thanks.
Thank you.